Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, unraveling the web of evil. No stone left unturned, we dive into the pond. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL true crime, unveiling dark realities every time. Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, go. We don't get living the show, but then I'm not talking about it, that's so. I could go past the new world. No can you wait your life. Now you wish your love, we thought it done. Yeah, we thought it died. Better than running the boats. Hey, I pick down true crime. I'm done with dark realities every time. This is yeah, I pick down true crime. I'm done with dark realities every time. Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi.
Wow, wow, whoa, whoa. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to LTL True Crime. We are live here on this Sunday evening, January 28th, 2024. I want to welcome everybody back into the live show. Been doing crazy double duty. We had an amazing show on Turtle Boy Live last night. It was really nice to go back and look at some of his old content. And we had such a rager over there. It was such it was really cool, to go back. I mean, tons of belly laughs. And I left, like, literally my gut was killing me by the end of that live. And it was nice to get a whole bunch of mix of stuff in. And again, it's been a real pleasure hosting over there and a real honor. So I appreciate it. I had a little members only live earlier today. And if you missed that, I went and talked about some of the cases that I want to start talking about here. Obviously, we have the Karen Reed case. Her next court hearing is scheduled for February 15th. So we have that on the docket. Turtle Boy, Aiden Carney, late February court date. I want to get back into this case, Brian Walshe, as he'll be having some March court dates coming up. I know I've been getting some information about Sandra Birchmore. I'll look into it. Starting to learn more about that case, and I appreciate all the people that have been sending information over about that case. Also want to do some Idaho 4 updates, as that was really one of the biggest cases that I was following right away. Anthony Farah, Timepiece Gentleman, not really too much to update on there. I know that he has an October 2024 or 2025 hearing. And I think he waived his right to speedy trial. I have some new court documents. I just haven't had the opportunity to look through them because my life has been the last 8 weeks, really hitting hard with Karen Reed because it's just been so much content that we couldn't get away from it. And then Chelsea Grimm, another update on Chelsea Grimm. Literally the last known most relevant information that we have in that case was I did a stream on New Year's Eve, which was awesome. Steve from Steve Fisher Investigates who was once the lead PI on that case, came on the show and gave us some updates in that case. And he had been recently just out there a couple of weeks before that doing more drone searching and drone mapping, and showed us some video of the area. So we had video of the topography of that area, what it looked like out in the desert. But as far as the case, I mean, it's a missing persons case. It's not a criminal case. Don't let other creators deceive you. This is a missing persons case. Carrie actually just inquired into Phoenix because there was case files out of Phoenix. Essentially what they told her, any body cam photos from Phoenix are going to take 12 to 18 months to process. That is insane. So we're really at a pass. I mean, there's not much more I can do. Her friends are silent. Her parents haven't said anything. The PI that took over after Steve hasn't said anything. So there's really not much updates I can provide at this point. But if you want to get caught up, you can go to my live section and watch the last live on New Year's Eve if you missed that. And we'll get the most updated relevant information in Chelsea Grimm's case. And it's very sad. I get very emotional about it. I get emotional about it this morning talking about it. If Chelsea is in that desert, she deserves to be brought home and allowed to rest in peace. So that's where we're at. But let's get into tonight's live. I just wanted to open up and let everybody know that. So tonight we're going to talk about Brian and Ann Walshe. And it has been on the first, just past this year, a 1 year, I guess, anniversary of when Ann Walshe went missing. And what I want to do tonight is kind of take us back through a small chronological order. I have all Walshe's court documents. A lot of it has been just conference hearings, paperwork, but I do have the most updated probable cause affidavit in that. So we can read through that. The original one was just kind of hard to read as it was just photos that were taken of it. And I wanted to get the most updated one. So we'll do that. We're going to play through the first initial arraignment, and then he had some updated charges which will fall in correspondence with this updated PCA that we'll read through. And I have a little mini docu-series that we'll play to give everybody kind of a full review and review of this case. And that should take us to the end of the presentation. So sit back. I am kind of not really feeling too great today, but we're going to try to get through this the best I can and go from there. So here we go. From Boston 5, it has been 1 year since Massachusetts mom Ann Walshe was last seen alive. Here's where the murder case stands at this present time. So Cohasset, Mass, 1 year after the disappearance and presumed murder of Massachusetts mother, progress in the prosecution of her husband appears to have slowed to a crawl as a new defense attorney takes over. Ann Walshe, 39, was last seen alive on January 1st, 2023. She was reported missing on January 4th. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for coming in. Brian Walshe, 48 years old, was arrested on January 18th and was indicted in March by the grand jury on charges of including murder, misleading the police investigation, obstruction of justice, and improper connivance of a human body. He is being held without bail. And guess what? Guess who he is, I guess, neighbors with right now in the county jail? That would be one Aiden Carney Turtle Boy. And I have heard some updates. I have heard some updates about Brian Walshe. Very creepy guy, walks around, loner, kind of keeps to himself. And it's pretty interesting that Aiden is in there with him right now. Really, really creepy. Latest charges in the progress of the case was to withdrawal of Walshe's former defense attorney, public defender Larry Lipton, who was assigned to the case. At the time, the attorney said that the case had become nearly 1,000 pages of discovery for Tipton to review, and additional DNA testing is expected. This is going to be a DNA complex, DNA heavy case. WCVB legal analyst Greg Henning said they need to prove that Brian Walshe killed his wife and also prove that she is deceased. So the fact that there is DNA in different locations, different quantities, bone fragments, blood residue, and all those things are going to be vetted and fleshed out. I don't know. Kind of sounds like a lot of evidence there on this guy. So among the evidence case documents have revealed is a video of Brian Walshe making an unplanned trip to a hardware store where he bought $450 worth of cleaning supplies in cash. Gee, that kind of smells of some guilt, wouldn't you say? Another video shows him purchasing rugs at a different store. Jesus. Prosecutors said blood and knife with blood on it, blood and a knife with blood on it were found in a basement of the home of Walsh's family he was renting. 10 bags of evidence found during the search at a transfer station in Peabody include Ann Walsh's COVID-19 vaccine card, a necklace matching ones that she is known to wear, and a hacksaw and a hatchet. Many of the items had blood on them and were connected to the Walsh's DNA through DNA. I remember this fucker too when they first started showing him. This prick would walk around with like the most shit-eating grin on his face through this entire thing. Real trash, real fucking piece of trash. But Grizzly, and I love this one here. This, I'm going to go off on this. You know how I'm going to feel about this one. Grizzly internet searches alleged conducted by Brian Walshe in the days after the woman's disappearance included queries about disposing of a body, dismembering a body, and body decomposition. The prosecution said, gee, where have we heard Google searches like that before? What case have we heard Google searches like that before? I'll let all you fine folks in the chat room here type that in the chat. Where have we heard Google searches before? Where have we heard? So let's talk about this for a minute. So they're going to allow and talk about the Google searches here in this case, but what case are we not allowed to hear or talk about Google searches in? What case? Gee, isn't that funny? Very funny and familiar things go on in the state of Massachusetts, right? So we allow them here, but we're not allowed to talk about it in that case. We're going to make them go away, right? Yeah. And we'll talk about that. I have an article from TB Daily News that we will be bringing that up in. Yeah. So while taking on the Walshe case, Tipton, who is also preparing for retrial of Emmanuel Lopez and the 25-year-old Brockton man accused of shooting and killing Weymouth Police Sergeant Michael Chesnia and Weymouth resident Vera Adams on July 15, 2018. Lopez's first trial ended in a mistrial. Tipton told 5 that Lopez upcoming. I don't really care about that. Let's see. Records show Brian Walshe is being held in the Norfolk County Correction Center until a hearing scheduled for March 4th. So he'll be back in court March 4th. That's why I wanted to start bringing this back up, reviewing it, reinvigorating it, let people know about it. I will be out there on March 4th when he goes to court, and we'll be there live. Either I'll live stream it or get some film for you all, but I plan on being there at his next court hearing. So let's talk a little bit about this article here. I found this interesting, and guess who the lead state trooper was? Who the lead state trooper was on in this case? Our good old friend, and I'll let everybody type here who they think our good old friend was, the lead state trooper on this case. So Ann Walshe murder, state trooper gets ransom note early in the investigation. Yes, everybody knows who it is. Our friendly friend. Just a few days after Cohasset woman Ann Walshe was reported missing, Massachusetts state trooper investigating her disappearance received a ransom note demanding $127,000 in exchange for her return. Quote, we have the so named Ann Walshe with us here, but we had the deal. We had a deal worth $127,000. She messed up. We have her here with us, and if she doesn't pay the money, then she'll never go back. And And we know that the police and the FBI are involved. So good luck finding us. Read the ransom note according to the court documents. A state trooper assigned to the Norfolk District Attorney from the Norfolk District Attorney's Office received the ransom note on January 7th from a Google email account with the username of Richard Walker. Investigators are concerning this email suspicious because there is no timeline to respond into the demand that has no contact instruction, according to the affidavit signed by the state trooper. State troopers sought data from companies Lyft, Uber, and Google. We get them here in this case, but in the Karen Reed case, we keep all the Google searches out and silent. I guess that's how that works. See, Proctor likes to give everything in this case, but in Karen Reed's case, we have to hide it. So state troopers sought data from companies Lyft and on the belief Anna Walshe had been kidnapped. Court documents show days later their investigation narrowed down to the suspect. Anna Walshe, 39, mother of 3 children, was first reported missing by her employer on Wednesday, January 4th. 4 days later, on January 8th, police arrested her husband, Brian Walshe, on charges of misleading a police investigation. Prosecutors stated that he lied to police about the whereabouts during the time frame of Anna's Walshe's disappearance. During Brian Walsh's arraignment, the following day, prosecutors, again, we just read this in the following article, basically the same thing that we had here in the previous article. Oh yeah, by the way, I just want to do this really quick because I saw this at the beginning. I want to recognize Ali for dropping 20 memberships at the very beginning of the stream. We had a lot of new members that come in, but I also want to recognize this. I'm going to just take a minute here. So Doreen, thank you for becoming a new member. Karen, thank you for becoming a new member. Jen New York is a new member as well. I think that's Celine Tolan. Thank you so much for becoming a new member. Danielle, a new member. And Alana, 120, thank you for becoming a new member as well. Oh, gosh. Okay, so let's go into Turtle Boy's article here. Yes, the Canton cover-up. Wow. All the way back to part 24. Same 3 troopers who used Google searches, cell phone pings, DNA to arrest Brian Walshe for the murder withheld that evidence in the Karen Reed case. This is May 5th, 2023. Okay, 4 months ago, Brian Walshe under investigation for lying to police about the whereabouts of his missing wife, Anna. Days later, he was arrested, held on $5 million bail, and eventually charged with murder. The judge, DA's office, and state trooper who oversee the investigation and prosecution of Brian Walshe are overseeing the Karen Reed murder case, including conflicting state trooper Michael Proctor. Sources close to the matter tell us that the primary reason the Norfolk DA's office is not dropping the charges against Karen Reed is that doing so would be an indictment on the reliability of this trooper Proctor, Nicholas Garano, and Connor O'Keefe. In short, if she walks, he could walk. And it goes on to say, let's see. It's just going to give. So here on January 7th, Cohasset police receive an email, likely from Walshe, claiming to be kidnappers who had Anna Walshe. This email prompted Trooper Garano to apply a search warrant for the electronic devices in Walsh's house. Goes on to say, and again, I just read this earlier. So it says the body of the email, Cohasset Police Detective Harrison Smith found in the inbox at 5:18 in the morning on January 7th. That's just 3 days after the police had entered Anna Walshe in the National Crime Information Center database as a missing and endangered person. And by the way, Chelsea Grimm, just going back to that is the database that she is presently entered in there as well, as a missing persons. In her case, is still a missing persons case. Let's see. In the affidavit in support of the search warrant on electronic devices in Walsh's home, in January 20th, I think it's supposed to be on. No, in a January 20th affidavit, Trooper Connor Keefe cited the cell phone data that showed Anna Walsh's cell phone pings inside the Walshe residence. She was actually scheduled to return to D.C. on January 3rd, a trip she clearly never took. And a police inspection of her work and personal banking records show that there was no activity after she allegedly left the home for D.C. Police requested that her cellular carrier Verizon pings on her phone at 3:30 p.m. on January 4th had received results that her phone was located in the area of Walshe's residence on Chief Justice Cushing Highway in Cohasset. It should be noted that Brian never contacted the police regarding his wife, as he had only called some of his friends in her work, who in turn notified the Cohasset police for a well-being check. Mass State Police Trooper Connor Keefe wrote in a January 20th affidavit. On January 17th, Walshe was charged with upgraded to murder thanks to a large part of extensive DNA testing and incriminating Google searches Walshe had made on using his son's iPad. And it has a clipping here. New evidence search history led to murder charges for husband and missing Cohasset woman. That was on January 18th. The state reiterated Walshe's 21 alleged disturbing Google searches, which included 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to, and can you be charged with murdering without a body, among several others that started between 4:50 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. on January 1st, accounting to the court documents. The fucking irony in this is unbelievable. The irony in both of these cases is unbelievable. Just to review, prior to the murder charges being filed, Brian Walshe on January 17, 2023, the DNA evidence, cell phone pings from the victim's phone, and Google search history were all made public. Based on these, state police applied and received a search warrant for Walshe's house and discovered Anna's blood in their basement. Yet the same state troopers in the DNA's office still had not handed over the DNA evidence from John O'Keefe's body, attempting to hide cell phone pings showing O'Keefe was inside 34 Fairview, attempted to hide Google searches and other cell phone data implicating Jen McCabe on O'Keefe's murder, and never attempted to enter the home where O'Keefe's phone pings were tested for blood, phone pings to test for blood and DNA evidence. Trooper Connor Keefe conducted a friendly interview with Jen McCabe at her home. On February 1st, 2022, along with Trooper Connor Keefe, went to 12 County Lane. Yeah, we've seen this before. So in September, Karen Reed's defense team added attorney Alan Jackson, which is amazing. In February of 2023, Jackson hired digital forensic expert Richard Green to do an analysis of the iPhone that the McCabes had voluntarily given to state police. His review discovered that had previous been unreported by state police in the Norfolk County DA's office. Jennifer McCabe searched for Hoss lying to die in cold at 2:27 a.m., deleted all of her phone calls from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., and attempted to erase trace of Brian Alberts as a contact. And here's the analysis here. I know that you've all seen this document before, and we'll just keep reading on here. Trooper Grano had full access to the same extraction report that Richard Green did using Cellbrite, and not only Cellbrite, five ways to extract that data off that phone. 5 ways to extract it. Remember, Jackson said that in that hearing, I believe, back in May. 5 ways, but intentionally left out Jen McCabe's 2:27 a.m. Google search and her deletion of her phone calls, Google searches, screenshots, and contacts. Hang on one second. Excuse me. So again, I know you've read through this document. I'm just going to keep kind of plugging through the article here. Trooper Garano was formerly police officer in Norwood, a town that abuts Canton. Like Trooper Proctor, he was also the local of the area and likely had many professional dealings with Canton Police Department. He either intentionally withheld McCabe's incriminating behavior with her phone or is completely incompetent. Additionally, we have sent another image by Trooper Proctor and the Albert family. Here he is in doing CrossFit with the Canton police officer, Kevin Albert. Things that the state police did to investigate the murder of Anna Walshe and did not do to investigate the murder of John O'Keefe. Obtain a search warrant of the home where the victim's phone pinged. Step foot in the home to search for blood evidence related to the victim. Handed over all Google history extracted from forensic analysis of the witness's phone to the Norfolk County DA's office. Submitted DNA evidence to the court within 2 weeks of the investigation beginning. Considered people's suspect basis on information that they were aware of regarding the last known location of the victim. If the charges were dropped against Karen Reed, it would be an admittance that Trooper Proctor, Garano, and Keith were unethical and willing to manipulate evidence to send innocent people to prison. This information would be a godsend for Brian Walsh's attorney. Therefore, Karen Reed must continue to suffer unjust prosecution so DA Michael Morrissey and 3 corrupt state troopers can keep their jobs. What a great article. So if you haven't read that article and you want to go back and read through it without my commentary, you can read that there in TB Daily News. Okay, so let's do this. I have the most recent PCA, and it's a little long, but we'll go through it, and then I'll play his arraignment. And welcome in, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. I appreciate it. All right, let's do this. Okay, so this was the most updated, I guess, the Commonwealth statement of this case, or PCA, and this was when the additional charges came through on April 27, 2023, when they brought Walsh back into court to upgrade his charges. So let's do this. Oops, what happened? We had a blue paper there. Okay, so the Commonwealth versus Brian Walsh. Commonwealth statements of the case. It now comes to the Commonwealth in the above captioned matter and respectfully submits to the following as a brief narration of the allegations. The following is not intended to serve as a bill of particulars, nor does the representation of the facts known to the Commonwealth. On January 4, 2023, the defendant, Brian Walsh, first reported that his wife to his wife's employer in Washington, D.C., that his wife, Anna Walsh, was missing. Mr. Walsh stated that Anna was last seen leaving their Cohasset residence on January 1st, 2023, around 6 a.m. and was traveling to Washington, D.C. for a work emergency. That, I love this. This is a lie. Anna and Brian Walsh were married in 2015. By 2023, they had 3 children under the age of 7. 2018, Mr. Walsh was indicted on a federal fraud charge in the U.S. District of Massachusetts. In April 2021, he pled guilty to charges in awaiting sentencing. As he was conditioned of the president's release, Mr. Walsh was subject to home confinement and wore an electronic monitoring bracelet. Didn't he? He scammed some people, I think. Was in, wasn't he dealing in fraudulent, expensive paintings or something like that? Isn't that what I heard about this? Mr. Walsh was subject to home confinement and wore electronic monitoring bracelet. Yeah, for art. Yeah, fraudulent art. Exceptions to his home confinement included a nearly 3-hour window every morning in the afternoon to transport his children to school from and back. Mr. Walsh's electronic monitoring bracelet did not track his location in real time. Rather, it would be an alert probation if he ventured too far from Cohasset residence. In early 2022, Anna was hired by an international property management company, Tishman Speyer, and became the family's primary source of income. Anna's job required her to relocate to Washington, D.C., and Anna purchased a home in D.C. with the intent of the entire family moving up on the conclusion of Mr. Walsh's criminal case. According to Anna, employer, the friends and family move was to occur on July 2022. Due to the delay in Mr. Walsh's sentencing, the move was initially delayed to September 2022 and then further impeded as the family waited Mr. Walsh's sentence. During 2022, Anna would spend the week in Washington, D.C., and most weekends would travel to Cohasset, where she lived in a rental home on Chief Justice Cushing Highway with Mr. Walsh and their 3 children. In December 2022, Mr. Walsh suspected Anna was having an affair. During this time, he would repeatedly access the Instagram page of one of Anna's male friends from Washington, D.C. On December 26, 2022, Mr. Walsh's mother, with his input and direction, hired a private investigator in Washington, D.C. to conduct surveillance of Anna for the purpose of providing infidelity. On the evening of December 27, 2022, Mr. Walsh's oldest son's iPad researched divorce. Wow. On October 28th, 2022, Anna went out with a friend in Washington, D.C. During the evening, she became uncharacteristically emotional and extremely upset. Anna believed that Mr. Walsh was going to be incarcerated for his pending criminal case. Anna told her friend that she intended to relocate her 3 children to Washington, D.C., and was prepared to leave Mr. Walsh. On December 30th, 2022, Anna flew to Boston, leaving her Volkswagen at work in D.C. Anna was not scheduled to return to D.C. until January 3rd, 2023. On December 31st, 2022, Anna attended an exercise class in a nail salon in Hingham. In addition, she made plans with her former employer, a family friend, to come to Cohasset home for New Year's Eve dinner. The family friend arrived at the Walsh home on December 31st, 2022, between 8 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. Anna and Mr. Walsh were home, along with their 3 children, who were asleep. During their dinner, Mr. Walsh stated that he had lost his phone and he felt free because of it. At approximately 10 p.m., the oldest child awoke, came downstairs, and socialized with the 3 adults for approximately 20 minutes before returning to bed. The family friend left the Walsh home at approximately 1:30 a.m. on January 1st, 2023. Anna has not been seen since. Between 4:50 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. on January 1st, 2022, the oldest child's iPad conducted searches and visited websites how to dispose of a human body. How long does it take for a dead body to smell? And how long does someone have to be missing to be declared dead? And how long to die in cold? The iPad visited similar websites shortly after 9:30 a.m. and continuing to make numerous searches until 2 p.m. The subject matter of the websites searched for progress from researching human decomposition and how to effectively dispose of body parts and how to clean up a crime scene and how long to die in cold. At approximately 2 p.m. on January 1st, 2023, the children's babysitter arrived at the Cohasset home. Mr. Walsh had previously scheduled her to babysit, stating that Anna and he planned to attend the New Year's brunch. When the babysitter arrived, Mr. Walsh told her that Anna returned to D.C. earlier that morning because of a work emergency. Mr. Walsh asked the babysitter to stay so he could visit his mother in Swampscott. He informed the babysitter that he had lost his phone. However, a search of Mr. Walsh's phone revealed that his phone did not leave the house on January 1st, 2023, and the device was plugged in and charged from 8 a.m. to 1:42 p.m. On January 1st, 2023, the phone was also manually unlocked at least 3 times. And this is what I mean. You know, the future in all of this, I think the future, and you're going to see a lot more of this now because these devices go with us everywhere. Everywhere these devices are with us. And that's why I did that stream about geofencing and cell phone pings and towers when we went and reviewed it in the Murdoch case. You know, this little tiny device that we love to hate will tell you a lot about someone, tell you an exuberant amount of data. But I find it funny. You know, in this case, look at all the data that's there. Look at all the data that's there. And then if you look at Karen Reed's, state from the Commonwealth, everything is so small. That data is so small. So I can't, it just cracks me up. I think Melanie Little said it the best. You know, you can't have it one way. You can't have it both ways. You know, if you're going to allow this particular type of evidence in this case that's going to nail this guy down, then why are we not seeing it in Karen Reed's case? You know, why are we not seeing it in Karen Reed's case? Well, we know why we're not seeing it, because the whole case is a farce. All right, so on January 1st, 2023, the oldest child's phone did leave the house. The data from the device revealed that it traveled to Shaw's supermarket and Walgreens in Cohasset. At the time of the device is located at the this is like all device information. This is crazy. Mr. Walsh can be seen alone in the store surveillance video. The device then travels to Vinnie Liquors in Swampscott, or Vinland, Liquors in Squamscott, located across the street from Mr. Walsh's mother's apartment complex. Surveillance video from the liquor store shows that Mr. Walsh alone exiting his vehicle, bypassing the liquor store, and disposing of items in the dumpster. Data from this device then shows it traveled across the street to the apartment complex where his device was detected around the dumpsters. The device then traveled to Lowe's in Danvers. At that time, Mr. Walsh can be seen alone on Lowe's surveillance. Amongst the items Mr. Walsh purchased from Lowe's on January 1st, 2023, were 5 Lowe's 5-gallon buckets, Alexon high-tension hacksaw, oh Jesus, 48 count of terry cloth towels, a framing hammer, Tyvek's full covered suit, Tree Max shoe guards, a mop, snips, 200 disposable rags, trash bags, Murphy's oil soap, and other cleaning products. Gee, that doesn't sound much like a kill kit, right? Fucking A. This device has then traveled to CVS in Danvers. At the time, Mr. Walsh can be seen alone on surveillance video purchasing 13 bottles of hydrogen peroxide. The device then travels to Stop and Shop in Swampscott, where Mr. Walsh can be seen alone on surveillance video purchasing 3 64-ounces jugs of ammonia. Oh, man. The device then traveled back to the apartment complex of Mr. Walsh's mother, and she stated she saw Mr. Walsh in the evening of January 1st, 2023, and that he informed her on a return to Washington, D.C. for a work emergency. At 7:15 p.m., Mr. Walsh's mother called her private investigator and left a message indicating that on a return earlier than expected to Washington, D.C. Yeah, maybe he's a BA's cleaner. Yeah, I mean, these people are sick, Lauren. You know, it's just incredibly sick people. I just never understood this stuff. Like, look, if you don't want to be with your wife or your husband, just leave them. Just divorce them. Let them go on. Fight it out in the courts for custody and all the money. These people are crazy. So then it goes on to say Mr. Walsh returned to the Cohasset home approximately 8:30 p.m. January 1st, 2023. From 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. on January 2nd, 2023, his oldest iPad searched and visited websites that provided instructions how to clean blood and DNA from objects, how to remove SIM cards from phones, and how to mix ammonia, and searches for apartment complex is in Brockton, Mass. During this time, Mr. Walsh was alone in the house, except for his sleeping children at approximately 8 a.m. on January 2nd. Then his babysitter returned. Mr. Walsh left that morning and was recorded on surveillance video in Home Goods in Norwell, where he purchased 3 area rugs and scented candles. The babysitter observed that by the end of the week. It's crazy when you read this stuff too, how you learn about a criminal and the things that they're going through their mind. The things that they buy to cover this crime up, the way that they're thinking, 3 rugs and scented candles. He's been thinking about this. How can I allegedly cover a smell? How could I allegedly dispose of this body? That's what's going through his brain. It's really sick. It's really sick stuff. Let's see. The babysitter observed by the end of the week that Mr. Walsh had replaced the downstairs area rugs in the kitchen trash can. Shortly after Mr. Walsh returned to Home Goods, his oldest child located Mr. Walsh's cell phone in the sibling's bedroom. During the afternoon on January 2nd, 2023, the oldest child's iPad continued to search and visit websites that detailed how long Lowe's maintained security videos, how long to die in cold, Long apartment complexes keep surveillance videos and numerous articles about dismembering a human body. Jesus Christ, this guy's a sick motherfucker. Around 4 p.m. on January 2nd, 2023, Mr. Walsh traveled alone to Home Depot in Rockland. I mean, how do you defend? How are you gonna just say, I just had these feelings one day to get up and just say, I'll just start Googling all this shit, how to hide a dead body, how to get rid of surveillance footage. How long do they keep it here? I mean, what? I mean, how do you come up with the defense of this? And that's probably why his first attorney didn't want to be on the case. Mr. Walsh traveled back to Home Depot in Rockland. He can be seen on surveillance video purchasing 3 additional 5-gallon buckets that leaked proof with lids, a hatchet, plastic sheathing, and 24 pounds of baking soda, and a second Tyvek suit. Mr. Walsh then traveled to the Derby Street shop in Hingham, where his Volvo SUV, went to an area where dumpsters were located before entering the main parking area. Mr. Walsh then seen on video parking his Volvo SUV entering Shake Shack. Must have been hungry. I've never even had Shake Shack before. Is Shake Shack good? I never had it before. When Mr. Walsh returned to Cohasset, the home they babysitted, departed for the rest of the evening, Walsh was alone with his 3 children from 1:18 a.m. to 7 a.m. On the 3rd, the oldest child's iPad has again searches and visits and discussed the removal of odor and decomposition bodies. Aftermath.com, a company that cleans crime scenes, and how to detect blood from fluorescent and how to remove blood stains from the concrete. Notably, the basement in Cohasset home had concrete flooring. The basement was not accessed by the babysitter or Mr. Walsh's mother during the first week of January, and the basement door had a security lock preventing the children from entering. Wow, this is nuts. Forgot about all this stuff. Sometimes we pull away from this stuff, and it's always good to go back and refresh these cases. We tend to forget all the details. But again, like I said, he's got a court hearing coming up in March. I'm going to be there for that hearing, if it's an in-person hearing. Let me just say this. Kaylee, thank you so much for the 5 on buying me a coffee. I do 100% appreciate it. On the 3rd, Walsh brought his children to school and daycare, returned home alone. Walsh made his first attempt to contact Anna by placing her call to her cell phone. The call went unanswered. Mr. Walsh called Anna's phone number 3 more times around 2:30. These calls were all unanswered. At 10:30 a.m. on the 3rd, Walsh texted Anna's friend who lived in D.C. and asked if she had seen Anna. Mr. Walsh made no attempts to contact the police, hospital, airlines, taxis, or other work locations on Anna on the 3rd. During the afternoon on the 3rd, Walsh visited 3 different apartment complexes in Abington and 1 in Brockton. Video from these complexes captioned Walsh in the area of the dumpsters. One video showed him looking into the dumpster and not putting anything in it. The second video captured Walsh taking items from his SUV to the area by the dumpster, and the third video depicted Walsh disposing a heavy trash bag into the dumpster. Jesus Christ. January 4th, 2023, at 10:04 a.m., Anna's friend texted Walsh back inquiring if he had heard from Anna. Upon receiving that text message, Walsh called the building where Anna primarily worked and stated she was missing. Walsh responded to Anna's friend, indicating that Anna's employer was looking for her. By 10:30 a.m., senior leadership Tishman Spire called spoke with Walsh. Tishman reached out to his employees' office nationwide, local hospitals. Gee, this fucking guy did more than her husband. Reached out to national offices, local hospitals, senior executives, traveled to Anna's DC home in all efforts to locate her. Spire further confirmed to Walsh that there was no work emergency on the 1st. Security for Spire provided to the police for first notification of Anna's missing. This guy did more. Following the report, Cohasset police traveled to Walsh's home at approximately 12 p.m. on January 4th. Walsh told Cohasset police that after their dinner guests left on the 1st, Anna informed him that she had to return to D.C. for a work emergency. Walsh told police that between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. on the 1st, Anna left Cohasset home for Logan Airport to fly to Washington, D.C. Walsh reported that he had been in bed when Anna left and she kissed him goodbye. He described Anna as wearing a short black coat, blue-gray hunter boots, and a black Prada purse. For someone that was in bed, he actually knew a lot about what she was wearing that day. I mean, if I was in bed, awoken, and my, wife kissed me really quick and she's out the door, I don't think that I would be awake enough or aware enough to know what exactly showed him. It was very detailed. Blue gray hunter boots, a black Prada purse, a little crazy. Walsh stated to his oldest child to awake when Anna left, and that child saw Anna enter a taxi. Cohasset police attempted to locate Anna by canvassing the area, contacting airlines, and recording bank information and seeking cell phone records. By the 5th, Cohasset police established that Anna did not fly to D.C., nor has she flown internationally. Cohasset police also learned that Anna did not use Uber, Lyft, or a local taxi on the 1st. Anna's cell phone records reveal that her phone's last location was on January 2nd between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. when it connected to a cell tower that provided coverage for the Cohasset home. Law enforcement was unable to physically locate Anna's phone. On the 5th, Cohasset police enlisted the aid of Massachusetts State Police. Ha 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 ha! Enter Trooper Proctor. Right? Dun 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 dun. The state police deployed dozens of trooper, including a dive team and air wing, to search for Anna. Both state police and Cohasset police sent detectives to Washington, D.C. in the effort to locate Anna. At approximately 9:30 a.m. on January 5th, 2023, while law enforcement was undergoing a large-scale search operation for Anna, Mr. Walsh's phone traveled to Swampscott, specifically in the area of the dumpsters of Mr. Walsh's mother's apartment complex. During the evening of the 5th, Cohasset State Police detectives spoke with Mr. Walsh, reporting a similar account of when he last saw Anna, and stated that other awaiting resolution to his criminal case, there were no problems in their marriage. Walsh again reported that Anna left with the Cohasset home with a black Prada bag, short black coat, and a Louis Vuitton overnight bag, hunter boots, and possibly a Hermes watch. Gee, this guy's got all the details down, right? Don't know where she is, but fucking knew everything about what she was wearing that day, down to the fucking brand name. Little weird. I mean, come on, dude. We know what happened in this case. On January 6, 2023, Detective spoke to Mr. Walsh again on the day he agreed to have a digital device in his home, including a cell phone and oldest child's iPad search. Mr. Walsh also detailed that his activities were on the 1st. He told detectives he traveled to Swampscott during the afternoon of the 1st to check on his mother. He stated he went to CVS and Whole Foods to buy cleaning supplies and frozen food for his mother. Investigators traveled to those stores, reviewed surveillance video, which did not substantiate Mr. Walsh's account. Wow, this guy's caught in so many fucking lies. Beginning in the evening of the 6th and the 7th, investigators downloaded the search. Oh, here we go. Here's the search evidence. We get it in this state by the Commonwealth, but we don't hear anything in Karen Reed's case. It's the irony. The fucking irony here is amazing. And the same lead Trooper Proctor on this case. Shit. I tell you. Investigators were able to see the web history from the devices as well as their native location by data. By the evening of the 7th, 2023, it became evident that Walsh had lied to police about the whereabouts and we also know a couple other people in the Karen Reed case that have lied, that had some funny things with Google searches. And the oldest child's iPad had visited numerous websites about dismembering a body, disposing of a dead body. Data from Mr. Walsh's oldest child's cell phone also provided location data corroborated by the store surveillance video that placed Walsh alone in Lowe's, where he bought items that would aid in the dismemberment and disposal of a human body and the cleanup of a murder scene. The digital device also placed Walsh, again, corroborated by surveillance video, Where's all the surveillance video in Reed's case? Oh, wait, all those cameras didn't work. That's right. Yeah, I forgot. Because all the cell phone data wouldn't line up. So they had to get rid of the footage at numerous times between the 1st and 5th. On the 8th, Cohasset State Police detectives obtained and executed a search warrant of Walsh's Cohasset home of the Volvo SUV. The basement of the home had 8 red-brown stains initially tested positive presence of blood. In Walsh's Volvo SUV, specifically areas of the driver's seat controls, passenger floor mats, rear trunk, there were additional positive results for the presence of blood. By the 8th, with the exception of Walsh's 5th visit to January 5th, 2023, visited a Swampscott dumpster beside his mother's apartment. All the dumpsters Mr. Walshe visited had been emptied and taken to CMAS, a large-scale waste-to-energy and recycling facility where the contents of the dumpster had been shredded and incarcerated and incinerated. I remember when they were doing the search of that area. I remember seeing all the live footage that came out of there. It was super, super disturbing. On the 8th, the Swampscott dumpsters were searched by local law enforcement. Items that were discarded into the dumpster were recovered by law enforcement, including Volkswagen keys, Anna Walsh's COVID vaccine card, her Hermes watch, identical to what Anna was known to wear. Jesus, man. Blue-gray hunter boots, a black Prada purse, a short black coat. Gee, all the things that he said that she was wearing, right? Also located in the dumpster were rugs consistent with those that had been in the living room and kitchen of the Cohasset home. These rugs contained the red-brown stains as well as the piece of a Gucci necklace consistent with one Anna frequently wore. Man, she had the drip, huh? Jeez. The dumpster also contained numerous items, including those purchased by Walshe at Lowe's Home Depot, the Tyvek suit, the Lennox high-tension hacksaw, a hammer, a hatchet, snips. Jesus, man. The Tyvek suit had red-brown stains on its exterior. The stains were tested, and Anna's DNA, Jesus, was present. The hacksaw also contained several areas of blood staining, red staining. When the hacksaw was disassembled, a small bone fragment was recovered. These items were in the process of being tested for DNA. Respectively submitted for the Commonwealth, Greg Connor, District Attorney, and Laura McLaughlin, District Attorney, dated April 27, 2023. And we'll play the first arraignment now, the initial charges. Wow. You forget all this stuff. So when you go back, it just it's shocking. So much evidence.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. Brian Walshe in court.
Cold-blooded murderer.
You are charged on the first day of January 2023 with assault and to beat Anna Walshe with intent to murder that person. You're also charged with interring of a body did without lawful authority, did willfully dig up or remove human remains. Not guilty, pleas be entered.
You understand the charges, Mr. Walsh? I do. I'll hear from the Commonwealth.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. We're not contesting bail or probable cause, so we would ask that he be released.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan, but I have to satisfy myself with probable cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Lynn Beeland for the Commonwealth. The defendant is now before the court charged with murder of his wife, Anna Walshe, as well as disinterring of a body. Anna was 39 years old and the mother of 3 children, 2, 4, and 6. Anna worked in Washington, D.C., splitting her time weekdays between D.C. during the week and staying in her house in Cohasset, where she lived with the defendant and their 3 kids. On January 4th of 2000.
Look at those eyes of a shark. Look at those dead, black, staring eyes. Look at this. That is a cold man right there.
3, Cohasset police received a call from her Washington, D.C. employer indicating that she was missing. She was due to report to work on January 4th, but did not appear. She had a flight on January 3rd from Logan to D.C., which she did not board. Cohasset police went to their house at Chief Justice Cushing Highway for a well-being check. It was only at this time, when they met with the defendant, that he first reported his wife missing. Defendant stated his wife left the house at approximately 6 a.m. on January 1st, New Year's Day. He stated she took an Uber or a Lyft to go to the airport, that she was returning to D.C. for work. Records were checked and there were no Uber or Lyfts to that house on January 1st. Defendant said he had not spoken to his wife since the early morning hours on New Year's Day. Cohasset police were granted permission to ping on his phone to locate her or her phone. Anna's phone indicated that it was stationary in the area of the Cohasset house on New Year's Eve until 3:14 a.m. on January 2nd. There were no outgoing calls made at that time, and at 3:14 a.m. on the 2nd, it was turned off. Defendant stated Anna should have been wearing a dress a black jacket, hunter boots, watch, ring, as well as carrying a Prada purse. Defendant gave a timeline of 6 or 6:10 a.m. on the 1st when he last saw her. What I'd like to do now is just describe his actions in the days from January 1st. Defendant indicated on January 1st at 3 p.m. he did some errands, then he went to his mother's house in Swampscott, but got lost because he didn't have his phone. He said he knew he was lost when he saw the pirate ship on Route 1. Defendant stayed 15 minutes, then went to Whole Foods and CVS. Surveillance was checked and he did not enter either of those stores. On January 1st, defendant Googled using his son's iPad. Some of his searches are as follows. Keep in mind that the defendant said he left at 6 a.m. At 4:55 a.m. on January 1st, he searched how long before a body starts to smell.
How long to die in cold, right? Look at this guy. He is a stone-blooded, just evil man. Look at those dead eyes.
4:58 a.m. how to stop a body from decomposing. At 5:20 a.m. he searched how to embalm a body. At 5:47 a.m. 10 ways to dispose of a
No,
dead.
I always wonder too, and I'm going to stop this and just kind of commentate a little bit. I always wonder, like, when people like this are caught, and the evidence is just so clear and it's being read back to them. I wonder if they're reliving that in their mind or if they just put it completely out of their mind. And then they convince themselves so much that it didn't happen. So you see actions like he just starts shaking his head like, no, like no, that's not true. So it's interesting. I always look at these crazy people, these sickos, and I want to kind of psychoanalyze what's going on in their brain, but I always wonder that if they're reliving it or if he's just trying to get it out of his head. Just interesting stuff.
If you really need to. At 6:25 a.m. on the 1st, how long for someone to be missing to inherit? At 6:34 a.m. on the 1st, can you throw away body parts? At 9:29 a.m., what does formaldehyde do? At 9:34 a.m. on the 1st, how long does DNA last? At 9:59 a.m., can identification be made on partial remains? At 11:34 a.m., dismemberment and the best ways to dispose of a body. At 11:44, how to clean blood from wooden floor. At 11:56 on the 1st, luminol to detect blood. At 1:08, what happens when you put body parts in ammonia? At 1:21 p.m., is it better to throw crime scene clothes away or wash them? Those were on the January 1st. There was also information gained from the defendant's phone, which showed on January 2nd, he was at Home Goods in Norwell, where he purchased 3 rugs. There were also more Google searches on January 2nd. At 12:45 p.m., hacksaw best tool to dismember. At 1:10 p.m., can you be charged with murder without a body? At 1:14 p.m., can you identify a body with broken teeth?
Yeah, Liz, I mean, for days he was on Google searching. Days he was searching on Google.
January 2nd, following those, the defendant was seen on surveillance at the Home Depot in Rockland. And checking the surveillance, the defendant is observed on a security camera pushing a cart. Items included cleaning products, mops, brushes, tape, top, a Tyvek suit with boot covers, buckets, goggles, baking soda, a hatchet. He had a face mask and rubber gloves on at the time he was pushing the cart.
Oh, he's got dead eyes for that prosecutor, huh?
Wow. At 5:32, he was seen at the Derby Street in Hingham, now removing the gloves and the mask.
He's looking right through this lady.
Data from his phone also tracked his whereabouts on January 3rd.
Yeah, it's on the kid's iPad.
Were traveled at 4:27 on January 3rd to an apartment complex in Abington. Surveillance shows the defendant's Volvo, as well as a male fitting the defendant's appearance, exit a car near the dumpster. He walks to the dumpster carrying a garbage bag. He's leaning and It appears to be heavy as he has to heft it into the dumpster. He walks to the dumpster with the garbage bag and leaves it. On 448, he hit another complex in Abington, and at 5:10 p.m., cell phone shows records at another apartment.
Wow, this guy's dead.
Video
Yeah.
shows a party consistent with his appearance and his Volvo. Again, he discarded items in the dumpster. On January 3rd, that same day, at 1:02 p.m., he did some more Google searches. What happens to hair on a dead body? At 1:13 p.m., what is the rate of decomposition of a body found in a plastic bag compared to on a surface in the woods? At 1:20 p.m., can baking soda mask or make a body smell good? On January 4th, the following day, the defendant went to Home Goods and TJ Maxx. He purchased towels as well as bath mats
Wow,
and
this
men's
guy.
clothing. At 4:15 that day, on the 4th, he went to Lowe's where he purchased squeegees and a trash can. On January 4th, when Cohasset police went to the house on the well-being check, officers observed his Volvo with seats down and a plastic liner in the back of the car. The next day, a view of the Volvo showed his seats folded down, floor mats with some dirt, and the carpet appeared to show fresh vacuum streaks. When asked about the liner, the defendant said he threw it in the trash. Chemists later analyzed the car.
It's kind of interesting. That was kind of his first movement there. Let's go back and look at that. He moves his mouth. I want to just hear the what the prosecutor was saying. Watch that mouth movement.
Officers observed his Volvo with seats down and a plastic liner in the back of the car. The next day, a view of the Volvo showed his seats folded down, floor mats with some dirt.
And I always look at those clinching of the cheeks too. You know, we see that a lot in the Koberger case. You're seeing a lot of it here, kind of that bearing down on their back teeth. I always find that interesting too.
In the carpet.
Again, I'm not a body language expert. I'm just giving you kind of my opinion.
To show fresh vacuum streaks. When asked about the liner, the defendant said he threw it in the trash. Chemists later analyzed the car and there was present blood in the car. On January 5th, review of the data from defendant's phone showed his phone traveled at 8 a.m. first to his daycare and then to Swampscott, where his mother resides. The phone traveled to the complex where his mother lives at 9:30 a.m., went for about 5 minutes around the building to the southeast corner. In the southeast corner of that complex is where there was a dumpster. The dumpster was later secured and searched. On January 8th, police and crime scene services searched the house in Cohasset. They found blood in the basement, a knife with the presence of blood. The knife was damaged.
I love that.
The
Yeah.
second knife was also found in that basement.
Oh, by the way, I had someone reach out to me today that is a special. Oh, my voice cracked. Ooh, ooh. That that says they're a specialist, a nationally certified wound expert, and they've presented for some national WCEI National Wild on Wounds and annual conference in Hollywood, Florida in September 2023. They say they can 100% provide me with their RN license and national certification information for verification. The interest is in John O'Keefe office has peaked. They're from Massachusetts and they moved to South Carolina in 2021, but still practice in Mass as a triage RN and wound specialist via virtual consultant. They said they would love the opportunity to discuss the medical examiner findings with me and true crime community. They hope they could provide a comprehensive breakdown of evidence based on the analysis. They are confident that the totality of the facts do not align with the Commonwealth's theory of the cause of death. So I'm going to reach out to this person. If you are watching tonight, I appreciate your email. It was a very nice presented email, and I will reach out to you. We'll get you, vetted a little bit, and hopefully they said that they do have multiple sources to cite to back up their experience, opinions with including and not limited to and they give me this, and they also have a case that they can bring on and compare actual photos to John's injuries to support that this was not done by a vehicle. So I'm going to reach out to this. It seems very credible, very nice written, and I'd love to speak with this person. So I will reach out to you if you're watching. I just had a late day today, but I definitely would like to have you come on. So that would be really well. The bites are from a dog. I mean, we know that. But I think that sounds like a very interesting guest to have on, and I will reach out to them. So thank you for emailing me. I appreciate that. All right, back to Walshe here. And thank you everybody for being here tonight. If you can just take a moment, smasheth the liketh button. We have about 176 likes in here. Let's just get that to 200. We have 300 people watching. I would appreciate it. All right, let's bang away here.
In addition, there was heavy duty.
He shook his head no.
Large top plastic liners purchased from that Home Depot. As part of the investigation, police checked for activity on Anna's credit cards, banks, flights, trains. There was no activity since she was last seen on January 1st. Police also tried to track down what happened to the bags that the defendant was seen throwing in the dumpster earlier. This was over in Abington. These bags and what was in them were already picked up and taken to a location for shredding and to be incinerated. By the time police located that, they were already destroyed. However, investigators did secure and search the dumpsters from defendant's mother's complex in Swampscott. It was searched at a transfer station in Peabody. Investigators recovered 10 trash bags. Inside the trash bags, many of these items contained stains consistent with blood, in fact, a lot. Among the items secured were towels, rags, slippers, tape, Tyvek suit, gloves, cleaning agents, carpets, rugs, hunter boots, Prada purse, a COVID-19 vaccine card in the name of Anna Walshe, a hacksaw, a hatchet, and some cutting shears. The purse and boots were described as what Anna was last seen in. A portion of the rug was heavily stained with red-brown stains. The substance was consistent with also having baking soda on it. There was a portion of a necklace consistent with one that Anna had been seen wearing in photos. The state crime lab performed testing on certain selected items that were recovered from those trash bags. There was human blood found on them, and then they were sent for DNA testing. The findings are as follows. On the slippers in the interior, Anna and Brian Walshe were contributors to the DNA on those slippers, which had blood on them. On the exterior, Anna and Brian Walshe contributed to the DNA found on those slippers. The Tyvek suit. On the interior cuffs, Anna and Brian Walshe contributed to the DNA that was left on them. On the exterior left pant leg, Anna Walshe was contributed to the DNA. On the interior right sleeve, Anna Walshe was a contributor to the DNA that was found on the Tyvek suit. There was tissues which found that Anna Walshe contributed to the DNA. There was one other earlier Google search.
Why do I have like the sense that this guy is like rattling the DA? I mean, this is, I mean, rattling the prosecutor. She's like almost trembling, like she knows that this guy is just staring at her like this. It's crazy.
Which would be of note. On December 27th, defendant Googled, what's the best state to divorce for a man? Rather than divorce, it is believed that Brian Walshe dismembered Anna Walshe and discarded her body.
Amy, a 2-month member, she says, thank you for everything you're doing for the Massachusetts community. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for watching these streams. I mean, I know like it's not Karen Reed. I know Karen's case is the top priority right now on all these platforms. But you know, I had to pull away a little bit and just start kind of implementing some more of these cases. You know, I'm gonna get into them because I can get out to the courts. I can get out there when there's these hearings if they're in person, and it's something that I want to follow. And you know, I've talked about niching down into just doing Massachusetts. I mean, why not? I'm here. You know what I mean? I'm here. I can do Massachusetts. I can do Rhode Island, and I think that I'm just gonna scale back from the national cases at this time. So I want to get people interested in this. I know that Karen, it's not Karen Reed. I understand there's a lot of people that come in from here, the Karen Reed stuff, but it is Massachusetts, and we need to see some other cases as well too, because this is important. This stuff is really important, and we need to see psychopaths like this not being able to be free and roam through Massachusetts. So, all right, let's keep playing here. We're almost done
The
with it.
bags related to Scott and Swampscott and
You're
contained
welcome.
Anna's property and the items used to clean up, as well as the DNA that was left behind. The Commonwealth is asking our defendant be held
Exactly.
without bail
Scott, you
for the
nailed
rest
it.
of his life.
You heard it all.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Defendant will be held without bail, pending indictment. Do we have a date for probable cause, or plea deal and reserve?
Wow, look at this guy. Holy
Not
fuck.
at this time, but I will. Your Honor, we have a date of February 7th already for the saving police. What's it? Oh, February 9th, apologize. If we want to put it on for status.
Norfolk County, yep.
And that's by Zoom, Your Honor, correct?
By Zoom.
Yes, thank you.
Status date or probable cause date?
Status date is fine, Your Honor.
February 9th for status, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So, sir, you're held without bail until February 9th, 2023, for a status date.
Well, so thank you.
Wow. Dead cold eyes. What a psycho.
All right, that was Brian Walshe being arraigned on that murder charge.
All right. Let's go up here for a little bit of a docu series. I found this really fascinating. It's from Fox 5 Washington D.C. They did a kind of a collage of everything that happened up to the point. And then after this, there's going to be new charges, upgraded charges, and we'll hear that arraignment as well on those new charges, and then we'll end the show on that. So let's sit back here, about 20 minutes of this little docu-series, and it gets you kind of a full case update into Anna Walsh's disappearance.
An active search for a Massachusetts mom of 3 who mysteriously vanished after leaving for D.C. She hasn't been seen since New Year's Day.
What happened at that house in Cohasset
Beautiful
on
woman.
New Year's, the morning of New Year's?
Beautiful woman.
We don't know.
She was in every way, shape, or form this full of life human being.
Right now, it's a missing persons investigation. Whether she just needed a little break or a timeout, we're just looking for her.
When a phone has been shut off for a few days, it's concerning.
Hairs were standing on the back of their neck when they first arrived at his house on January 4th.
The husband of the Massachusetts woman missing since New Year's Day, now formally charged with her murder.
He is probably the stupidest murderer who's ever walked the face of the planet Earth.
Wow, we've seen that tapestry. That's Aiden was just sitting in that tapestry the other day.
Probably the
to the
stupidest
left. This here. Remember in Aiden's hearing, we could see that tapestry.
murderer who's ever walked the face of the planet Earth.
Anna Walshe, a mom of 3 young boys, goes missing from her Massachusetts home early New Year's Day. She was said to be heading here to Washington, D.C. because of a work emergency. She worked for realty firm Tishman Speyer. Now her husband is charged with her murder, even though her body has never been found. Tonight, we'll take you through Anna's life and what prosecutors say happened in those early morning hours.
She was living the American dream. Right? She immigrated from a war-torn country, came here, got a job, was working to support herself and her family.
Anna Walshe grew up in Serbia before coming to the U.S. in 2005. Reports say she worked her way up in the hospitality industry in New York City, where she met her future husband, Brian Walshe.
She's just so personable. She lights up a room.
After New York, Anna also worked in Washington, D.C., Virginia, and Massachusetts. And while we know details of her professional career, little is known about her relationship with Brian. We spoke with reporter Bob Ward from Boston 25.
That's one of the mysteries here, that their friends that are here in Massachusetts aren't really saying a whole lot to us, and about their relationship. I uncovered a report in Washington that showed in 2014 that she complained to police that he threatened to kill her and a friend.
Anna reported to D.C. police that her then boyfriend told her over the phone that he was going to kill her and her friends.
there was a record of him threatening to kill her. And that is a huge red flag.
That report doesn't name Brian Walshe, but states that her boyfriend was living in Massachusetts, where Brian was living at the time. Anna never cooperated with DC police, and the case was closed.
A typical follow-up would be have to connect with the victim and get more information. And it appears that she did not want to follow through. Not unusual in domestic violence cases.
More than a year later, Brian and Anna were engaged. Just months after that, they were married. And the year after the couple welcomed their first child, Anna posted to social media a photo of herself with a black eye. In the post, Anna said she had a mild concussion, a bruised hip, and a cut. She appeared to brush it off to friends in the comments, blaming a fall at work. The picture has never been linked back to any sort of domestic violence, and the couple would go on to have 2 more children.
I mean, her kids were her whole world. Whenever she's with them, it's all about them.
Despite living in Cohasset, Massachusetts, Anna began working in DC at Tishman Speyer last year.
And I knew they were struggling because she's been far away for so long. I knew she, they had many fights about like, when are we finally gonna come to DC? When am I gonna be with my kids? That was her priority.
It was employees at Tishman Speyer that first reported Anna missing on January 4th.
My friend Jem called me and said, Anna's missing. And the first reaction is like, what are you talking about? Anna's missing.
Peter says that friend Jem was at Anna and Brian's home New Year's Eve, ringing in the new year, just a short time before investigators would later say she was killed. Initial reports say a family member told police that she left at 4 a.m. on January 1st to catch a flight to D.C. for a work emergency.
It's been reported that she was called to D.C. to handle some type of emergency at one of the properties that she manages. That's why she was attempting to go to D.C. early. She did have a flight booked for the 3rd, but she never got on that flight.
She would not have left on New Year's Day for a work emergency. So I think I pretty immediately knew in my gut that that was not the case. And so it was just sort of this doesn't add up.
According to investigators, Anna's cell phone was turned off on January 2nd.
It's very difficult, as you know, nowadays not to leave an electronic footprint or some type of footprint, which are debit cards or your credit cards. And none of these things have been active since the first of the year.
Anna is the kind of person to respond. Again, given the extent of what she's doing in the day, she might not respond right away, but she does respond. When a phone has been shut off for a few days, it's concerning.
Police say Brian was cooperating in the early days of the investigation into Anna.
Carrie, thank you for the 5. We got some new members in. AC, welcome to the membership group. Grammy, thank you to the membership group. Kristen, Stacy, and Wendy, thank you for being part of the membership group. That's a 1 free month on Carrie. At the end of that month, it would be really great if y'all could just re-sign up. You don't have to sign back up for the $4.99. I have membership levels at $1.99, and that gets you all the members only content. I did a members only live this morning. So if you're not a member, you're going to miss out on that stuff. But here we go.
Anna's disappearance.
Whether she just needed a little break or a timeout, we're just looking for her.
A retired homicide detective who is not involved in the case says he thinks police knew all along.
It's my belief that the police were on to him from the get-go. They made some startling observations of the car before they even knocked on the door.
Brian first told investigators he hadn't seen his wife since New Year's Day, and in that time since, he had only left his home to get ice cream with his son. But as police continued to investigate, they obtained a search warrant for the family home, which led to Brian in handcuffs.
Brian Walshe is sloppy. Like he's making errors at every turn.
Brian was convicted of federal wire fraud charges in an unrelated case for selling fake Andy Warhol paintings and was awaiting sentencing. As part of his probation, he was wearing an ankle monitor.
His story did not match up with that electronic evidence, his electronic footprint. And at that point, there has to be red flag. I'm sure.
Do you think that may have played into effect when it came to the arrest for him misleading the investigation?
Absolutely.
Brian was charged with misleading police after investigators searched the home. For the first time since Anna's disappearance, the world saw Brian at his arraignment.
The images showed him actually smiling or smirking.
Thank you, Jen.
And that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And he walked in with an air of arrogance, kind of looking around the courtroom, kind of looking like he owned the place. And I don't know, maybe thinking he could talk his way out of it.
You know, this is a serious situation, and he looked just casual. And I think it's you know, especially someone loving Anna so much, it's really difficult to see that and to understand that altogether. It doesn't make any sense.
With Brian now behind bars, investigators begin to piece together what they say happened to Anna Walshe. Still ahead on this Fox 5 special, the evidence collected by investigators inside that home and the haunting details revealed inside the courtroom.
Human being.
If he did this, it would be smart for him to come clean.
It is a absolutely crushing circumstantial case.
You could hear a pin drop as the prosecutor went from Google search to Google search to Google search to Google search.
Welcome back. Brian Walshe now behind bars for misleading police in the investigation into his wife's disappearance. Anna still has not been found a week after she went missing. During his arraignment for that charge, prosecutors revealed they found blood and a knife in the basement of the couple's home in Cohasset.
Cohasset is a wealthy town on the ocean.
Let's do this because I know that people are talking about this, and I'm going to just urge caution in what I say here. But I had some sources that came forward about, I know everybody's talking about Karen Reed's phones. So some sources told me close to what was going on was electronic devices were seized, and apparently one of them was an old non-working phone. So that's like a nothing burger. And there's going to be more that comes out. From what I know, I wouldn't get too worried. It's a big nothing burger, and it's a distraction. So I know everybody's wondering about phones and stuff like that. It was old non-working phones. So again, trying to poke, trying to dig something up, and it's going to be a big nothing burger. So more will come out in the next couple of weeks. So there's more information that will be coming soon, sources tell me. And we'll continue to monitor the case.
It's very well known. Nothing like this happens there.
During that court appearance for the charge of misleading police, we learned that Brian lied about taking his son to get ice cream. Prosecutors say instead, surveillance images show he was buying hundreds of dollars worth of cleaning supplies.
1,000,000,000% false. I have sources that have confirmed 1,000,000,000% false. So let's kill that rumor. Let's end that rumor. I have sources that have told me. I wouldn't worry about it. It's a big nothing burger. I know what it was about, but I can't get too much into it.
Supplies at Home Depot.
But
I believe he did clean up, but you can never clean up good
it'll all
enough.
come out clear.
It is almost impossible to clean something well enough that forensic evidence would be actually taken care of.
On the day of his arraignment, police were searching a dumpster in nearby Peabody, near Brian's mother's home.
Investigators recovered 10 trash bags. Inside the trash bags, many of these items contained stains consistent with blood.
Among the things they found were blood-soaked towels and rags, a hacksaw, Anna's COVID card, and a necklace and pair of boots similar to the ones Anna was last seen wearing. A week later, and nearly 2 weeks after Anna's disappearance, Brian was charged with killing her.
It was agreed that Brian Walshe dismembered Anna Walshe and discarded her body.
A much different reaction from Brian at this arraignment.
He was very quiet. It was very serious what was being revealed in that courtroom.
As prosecutors laid out their case, evidence shows a slew of disturbing searches made on his son's iPad just hours after Anna was last seen alive.
5 a.m. on January 1st, he searched how long before a body
He searched how long to die.
At 4:58 a.m., how to stop a body from decomposing. At 5:20 a.m., he searched how to embalm a body. At 5:47 a.m., 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to. At 6:25 a.m. on the 1st, how long for someone to be missing to inherit. At 6:34 a.m. on the 1st, can you throw away body parts? At 9:29 a.m., what does formaldehyde do? At 9:34 a.m. on the 1st, how long does DNA last? At 9:59 a.m., can identification be made on partial remains? At 11:34 a.m., dismemberment and the best ways to dispose of a body. At 11:44, how to clean blood from wooden floor. At 11:56 on the 1st, luminol to detect blood. At 1:08, what happens when we put body parts in ammonia? At 1:21 p.m., is it better to throw crime scene clothes away or wash them? Those were on the January 1st.
Prosecutors say Brian didn't stop there. The next day, he's accused of searching things like, is a hacksaw the best tool to dismember a body? And can you identify a body with broken teeth? The day after that, more searches, including what happens to hair on a dead body and what is the rate of decomposition of a body found in a plastic bag compared to on the surface in the woods.
He Googled how to dismember a 115-pound body, and his wife was 115 pounds.
I have never seen a defendant do that many Google searches. Never. It was 3 days worth of not just Google searches, but incriminating and damning Google searches.
We know someone that Google searched at 2:27 a.m. that was pretty incriminating and damning. So
She just kept going, and every search was worse than the one before.
Prosecutors also say just days before Anna's disappearance, on December 27th, Brian searched online, what's the best state to divorce for a man?
I've been doing this for almost 40 years, and I've never seen that level of detail unleashed at an arraignment.
Brian Walshe pleaded not guilty.
Defendant will be held without bail pending indictment.
The question remains, where is Anna Walshe?
I think the investigators believe that she was disposed of in the trash and then incinerated, and they were just too late to get to it.
Still ahead in this Fox 5 special, will the circumstantial evidence be enough?
Fair, what happened? She does not deserve this.
It's surreal. It really is. It's like, it just, people don't do this to one another, especially a husband to a wife, supposedly.
It's also so sad, young woman, mother of young children. It's gruesome, and it's just a really hideous set of facts.
Yes,
juries are sophisticated enough to know.
Proctor
that
was
if
the
someone's
lead.
sitting up, if someone is being charged with
Proctor
murder,
was the lead.
they're also capable of disposing the body.
Welcome back. Brian Walshe now charged with his wife Anna's murder. He pleaded not guilty, and her body still has not been found. Investigators believe he dismembered her and took her and her belongings to different dumpsters starting on January 3rd.
He walks to the dumpster carrying a garbage bag. He's leaning, and it appears to be heavy as he has to heft it into the dumpster. He walks to the dumpster with the garbage bag, and leaves it. On 448, he hit another complex in Abington.
Yeah, you know, Quincy, that's a great point. Took over 2 weeks to arrest this guy, mounting the evidence with the Google searches and every other single thing that they have on this guy. 2 weeks to arrest this guy, to allow him to continue to walk around and hide evidence. But in Karen Reed's, it's almost instantaneously, because they knew they needed to cover it up.
5:10 p.m., cell phone shows records at another apartment in Brockton.
The next day, on January 4th, police do a welfare check on Anna after coworkers report her missing. During that check is when officers notice Brian's car. Prosecutors say the seats were down inside of his Volvo and there was a plastic liner in the back of the car. Then on January 5th, prosecutors say cell phone data shows him traveling to his mother's home.
The phone traveled to the complex where his mother lives at 9:30 a.m., went for about 5 minutes around the building to the southeast corner. In the southeast corner of that complex is where there was a dumpster. The dumpster was later secured and searched.
While prosecutors were able to secure some of the items Brian allegedly disposed of, it was too late for others.
These bags and what was in them were already picked up and taken to a location for shredding and to be incinerated.
He is probably the stupidest murderer who's ever walked the face of the planet Earth. He has made every textbook mistake possible at every single turn. He is not given any thought to how to actually carry out the perfect murder. If there were a case study in how to commit the worst murder possible, he would be the poster boy for that.
Without a body, is there still the likelihood of this moving forward, a case like this?
I believe so, especially this case, yes. There are challenges, don't get me wrong.
It's a hard case for the prosecution because they don't have a body. And while it's not an impediment to getting a conviction for murder without a body, they still haven't recovered a body in the case. And that presents some challenges for the prosecution.
Duncan Levin is a former federal prosecutor. He says that even though a case without a body can be difficult, the state in this case has what it needs.
Just the overwhelming amount of circumstantial evidence here, the cleaning supplies he bought, it was such a sloppily carried out
Google
murder.
searches.
It's very
Google
overwhelming. And
searches.
that's enough. That's all that the state needs to prove against him.
Most criminal cases are made with circumstantial evidence. And it's not unusual for convictions to be had.
Google searches.
Solely using circumstantial evidence. So that's not I don't believe that's a hurdle as much as people believe it to be, especially with the abundance of circumstantial evidence.
Tommy, I know it's Sunday. We usually do our Sunday night together. Let's do something this week. We'll go over one of Karen's hearings. Let's do that. We'll do it this week. I'm going to take tomorrow night off. Maybe Tuesday night we can do it. I'll reach out to you. Nice to see you, brother. We'll do a Karen stream this week. Okay, let's go.
This case.
That overwhelming
I just need to
circumstantial
pull away
evidence is what Brian's
one night.
defense team
I needed
will
a
need
little
to
bit of a break.
overcome.
And I want to get back into this because on March, did I say 3rd or 5th, he's going to be back in court, and I'm going to be there in court if it's an in-court hearing. I want to see this fucking guy.
Is going to seize upon the fact that there's no body. And
gotta wrap
without
them
that,
up. I'm
you
exhausted
can't
right now.
convict for murder because you don't know that she didn't just run away. The problem for the defense is that there are so many different threads here that all point in the direction of Brian Walshe that it's going to be very difficult for them to individually attack them.
If he did this, it would be smart for him to come clean. And somehow, for his kid's sake, fess up to it, right? Because essentially they've lost two parents. No matter what comes from this, they've lost both parents.
Like, she always described him as her best friend, that they were very close, like love at first sight. That was always what she said, that she trusted him, that, anything he may have done wrong in the past, it was just bad choices. She was a good person. And it's sort of like knowing that now it's jarring, it's gut wrenching, it's uncomfortable, to even think that like someone who's appears so calm and collected could, be capable of something you just don't expect.
Lots of times we find abusers to be incredibly charming.
I don't think that she ever thought she was in danger. And if she did, I don't know that she would have reached out to somebody.
So if she were buying a house in DC and thinking about moving the kids, that is a time where domestic violence might escalate, because that's the time of separation.
So I think when this opportunity came up as well, she jumped at it as well to be here and to move out of the Boston area. The other part of that really was with Brian's ongoing investigation. I don't know how much I really want to talk about that. With the FBI, was like she was responsible for being the primary breadwinner, and so it was really a matter also of like her taking that on for her family.
Domestic violence cuts across every category you can think of: economic, racial, religious, any group, education level, anything, it cuts across.
If anything good can come from this, is to help the next person or persons who might be in this situation, or to have the ability to get help.
I think if more people start to realize that she, who, as you described, was successful and seemed good on the outside, can also be affected by domestic violence. And so don't look at yourself as, oh, I'm a strong, smart woman. How could this be happening to me? It happens to people across every economic divide.
She was strong, she was confident, she was powerful, and wonderful, and an amazing mother.
No, Rich, I get the joke. I understand it. I'm gonna take tomorrow night off. It's just I just don't feel like, knowing that tomorrow night is the 2-year anniversary of John O'Keefe's death. I don't feel proper to stream on that night. I just really want to be by myself. I don't know. So I'm going to take tomorrow night off in respect to John, and I don't know. I don't feel good about it. So we'll let that one rest. We'll let that rest.
An amazing mother. That's how all of Anna's friends describe her. Still ahead, the message Anna's friends have for her children. Stay with us.
So attentive and loving, and fun, playful. Like, she has 3 boys, so they play a lot.
Yeah, I'm not going to stream
and
tomorrow.
they had a lot of fun together, and she was just very present with them.
Anna would want her kids to continue the legacy of her life, right? The legacy of her life has to live on, and whatever that looks like. So she'll want her kids to do that. She'll want her kids to know.
It's not clear who is now caring for Anna and Brian's young children. Initial reports said they were in the custody of Child Services, but there has been some speculation that they could be with Brian's mother. Anna's mother lives in Serbia. Her friends say she visited her mom in December. Anna's mother spoke to Fox Digital, saying Anna texted her just 1 week before she vanished, asking her mom to come to the U.S. the very next day. Her mother was not able to make that quick trip. As for Brian, his case is still making its way through the courts. We'll continue to follow it for you right here on Fox 5.
That was a good docuseries. It was really, really good. Okay, let's go to the upgraded charges. This was on April 27, 2023. Brian Walshe back in court. We'll play out this arraignment, and then I have an announcement that I need everybody to pay attention to at the end. A very, 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 very special announcement that I will announce at the end. Okay, let's play the upgraded charges here.
Breaking right now, the Cohasset man accused of murdering his wife and misleading police during their investigation is being arraigned on a new set of charges right now. Let's listen in.
Yeah, I just don't want to stream tomorrow. Oh, there she is. Auntie Bev.
382CR91, call for Brian Walshe. Can I have counsel identify themselves for the record?
Auntie Bev.
Good morning, Your Honor. Greg Conner for the Commonwealth.
Good morning, Your Honor. Laura McLaughlin for the Commonwealth.
Good morning, Your Honor. Tracy Minor. Mr. Walsh. Good morning, Ms. Minor. Good morning, Mr. Walsh.
Good morning. Your Honor, may I proceed?
Please.
Are you ready for arraignment, counsel?
I'm sorry.
Are you ready for arraignment?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Walsh, 2382CR91001, Brian Walsh of Cohasset in the County of Norfolk, on or about January 1st, 2023, at Cohasset in the County of Norfolk, did assault and beat Anna Walsh with intent to murder her, and by such assault and beating, did kill and murder said Anna Walsh in violation of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 265, Section 1.
This guy continues to deny. This guy continues to shake his head and deny what he did. He's caught cold-blooded here, and he continues to deny. So, you know, he can shake his head all he wants, but he's not going to shake away those Google searches. He's not going to shake away the things that he bought. He's not going to shake away the bone fragments that were found on the hacksaw that was his wife's DNA, and will not go away. So we'll play through.
Against the peace of said Commonwealth and contrary to the form of the statute, such case may be provided a true bill assigned by the foreman of the grand jury and the district attorney for the Norfolk district. To this indictment for first-degree murder, sir, how do you wish to plead, guilty or not guilty? Not guilty. Thank you. Counsel, does your client waive the right to a full arraignment of these other two indictments?
Yes.
Thank you. One count of misleading a police officer and one count of conveying a human body. How do you wish to plead, sir, guilty or not guilty? Not guilty. Thank you. You can have a seat. Question of fair. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Commonwealth would ask that the defendant be held without bail as a result of being charged with 265, Section 1. Your Honor, if I may go into the allegations the Commonwealth has against the defendant and then go into my argument. Thank you. Your Honor, on January 4th, that morning, the defendant, Brian Walsh, first reported to his wife's employer in Washington, D.C., that his wife, Anna Walsh, had been missing since January 1st at approximately 6 a.m. He had reported that she had told him that she was leaving town for work emergency and was flying out of Logan, and that she would be returning back to Washington and was looking to find her at her employment. Commonwealth has established that this was a lie. By this time that he had killed her, dismembered her, and disposed of her body. In early of 2022, Ms. Walsh had obtained employment at Tishman Speyer in Washington, D.C. As a result of that, Tishman Speyer had asked her to move to D.C. and work out of Washington, D.C. It is a national property management company, Your Honor. Ms. Walsh and Mr. Walsh sold the family home that was in Cohasset and purchased a residence in Washington, D.C. Mr. Walsh was unable to leave the state at the time because he was on pretrial conditions at the federal district court. They rented another home on Chief Justice Cushing Highway in Cohasset, and Ms. Walsh would commute from the property that they owned in D.C., working in D.C. during the week and being with the family on the weekends. In December of 2022, it had become evident that Mr. Walsh was suspecting his wife of having an affair. He was routinely visiting the Instagram page of one of her male friends.
Why?
And on December...
Why would you want this attorney to replace Lally? Why? You want that idiot up there. Why would you want someone that's good at their job to be up there in Karen's case? You want the weakest person up there, which is Lally. You wouldn't want this guy up there. This guy's coherent. He's explained the case clearly. You wouldn't want someone up there. You want the weakest person up there.
December 26th, his mother, with his input and direction,
you don't want a good
obtained and hired a
up
private
there.
investigator to surveil Anna Walsh in Washington, D.C. On December 27th, the oldest son's iPad was used to research best states to get divorced in and worst states to get divorced in. On December 28th, Anna Walsh had dinner with a friend in Washington, D.C., and became uncharacteristically upset and told her friend that she believed that Mr. Walsh was going to be incarcerated as a result of his federal case, and that she was prepared to leave him and take the children to Washington, D.C. On December 30th, she flew home and was with the family and expected not to return until January 3rd and was going to spend the long weekend with the family. On the 31st, she attended an exercise class. She also got her nails done at a local salon and had made arrangements for a family friend, her former employer, to come over their home on Chief Justice Cushing Highway for a dinner to celebrate New Year's Eve. That family friend said he got there approximately 8 p.m. and that the children were asleep and that Mr. Walsh cooked dinner for the three of them. At around 10 p.m., one of their children came downstairs, socialized with the adults, and went back upstairs approximately 20 minutes later. The family friend left at approximately 1:30 a.m. on January 1st, and that is the last time someone has seen Anna Walsh alive outside of the defendant and his family. What happens is later on in the early morning hours at approximately 4:50 a.m., the oldest child's iPad begins to visit websites that concern how long does it take for a dead body to smell?
How long to die in
How
cold?
long does it take for someone to be missing to be declared dead? It also visited websites and made numerous searches on this matter at 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. Included was also how long someone must go missing in order to collect, and there was a visit of a website for luxury watches. At 2 p.m. on January 1st, the children's babysitter arrived at the Cohasset home. This would
You think fucking Lally could get all this out? You think fucking Lally could put all this together? Come on.
previously arranged with Mr. Walsh. Mr. Walsh had told the babysitter that he and his wife initially were going to go out for a late brunch, New Year's Day brunch that day. But then he told the babysitter that Anna Walsh had returned to Washington, D.C. That morning at approximately 6 a.m. for a work emergency, and that he needed to visit his mother in Swampscott and asked the babysitter to stay. He had also told the babysitter and the family friend that he had lost his phone, and he had told the family friend that he had felt somewhat free having lost his phone. Subsequent analysis of his phone determined that it was actually plugged in the morning of January 1st. However, while his phone stayed at the house in Chief Justice Cushing Highway in Cohasset, the oldest child's cell phone did not. On January 1st, the oldest child's cell phone shows native location data that had traveled to Shaw's Supermarket and Walgreens in Cohasset. At the time the phone is at those stores, the defendant is seen walking in on store surveillance videos by himself. It then travels later on that afternoon, approximately 5 to 5:30 p.m. to Vinin Liquors in Swampscott. Surveillance video shows the defendant's vehicle and the defendant arriving there by himself, bypassing the store, going to a dumpster in the parking lot of the store, disposing of items, then returning to his car. After it goes to Vinin Liquors, it goes across the street to an apartment complex where the defendant's mother resides. The native location from the oldest child's cell phone shows that it is by the dumpster for that apartment complex. It then travels to Lowe's in Danvers. At that time, when the phone is showing that it's at Lowe's in Danvers, the defendant walks into Lowe's in Danvers by himself on store surveillance video. He is seen purchasing numerous items, including 5 Lowe's 5-gallon buckets, a Lennox high-tension hacksaw, 48 terry cloth towels, a framing hammer, Tyvek full coverage suit, shoe guards, mop, snips, 200 disposable rags, trash bags, Murphy oil soap, and other cleaning products. It then travels to CVS in Danvers, where Mr. Walsh is again seen on video by himself purchasing 13 different types of hydrogen peroxide.
Good point.
It then
AC.
travels to Stop and Shop in Swampscott, where Mr. Walsh can be seen buying 3 64-ounce jugs of ammonia. The device then travels back to Mr. Walsh's mother's apartment. Mr. Walsh's mother stated that he did arrive that evening, informed her that Anna had returned to DC for a work emergency. At 7:15 p.m., Ms. Walsh's mother then calls her private investigator and leaves a message indicating that Anna Walsh has returned back to DC earlier than expected. Mr. Walsh returned home at approximately 8:30 p.m. on the 1st. At that point in time, the babysitter has left with him with the children who are asleep.
Yeah, you're right, Sean. That's a
From
good point.
2 a.m. to approximately 5:30 a.m., the oldest child's iPad searched and visited
Hawthorne,
websites
the dying
concerning
cold.
instructions on how to clean blood and DNA from objects, how to remove SIM cards from phones, how to mix ammonia, and search for apartment complex in Brockton, Massachusetts. At 8 a.m., the babysitter returned to the Walsh residence. Mr. Walsh left the residence that morning and is on surveillance at Home Goods in Norwell, purchasing 3 area rugs and scented candles. The babysitter would state that by the end of the week, she had noticed that the downstairs area rugs had been replaced, as well as a kitchen trash can. Mr. Walsh returned from Home Goods, and the oldest child at this point in time had discovered his missing cell phone in a sibling's room. However, the oldest child's iPad continued to make searches on websites detailing how long Lowe's maintains security videos, how apartments maintain surveillance, and numerous articles about dismembering a human body. Around 4 p.m. on January 2nd, Mr. Walsh traveled alone to Home Depot in Rockland, and there he is seen on video purchasing 3 more additional 5-gallon buckets with leak-proof lids, a hatchet, plastic sheeting, 24 pounds of baking soda, and a second Tyvek suit. He then traveled to the Derby Street shops, Your Honor, where his car is seen traveling behind the shops in the area of the dumpsters, and then eventually will return to the shops where he is by himself, where he goes to a local restaurant and purchases takeout. Mr. Walsh returned to his home. The babysitter departed, and at that evening on January 2nd, he was alone by himself in his home, except for his sleeping children. From 1 a.m. or approximately 1:18 a.m. to 7 a.m., the oldest child's iPad again searches for and visited websites to discuss the odor, removing the odor of decomposing bodies. It also visits aftermath.com. Now, this is a company that cleans up crime scenes. It also visited and looked at websites for detecting how blood can be detected using fluorescein, and how to remove blood stains from concrete. Notably, the basement floor in the home in Cohasset is a concrete floor. This was not accessed by Mr. Walsh's mother or the babysitter that first week in January, and had a security lock at the top of it that would prevent the children from gaining access to the basement. On January 3rd, Mr. Walsh brought his children to daycare and then into school and returned to the Cohasset home. At 8:30 a.m., Mr. Walsh makes his first attempt to contact his wife's cell phone by placing a call that goes unanswered. He would do this 3 more times at approximately 2:30 p.m. that day. At 10:30 a.m. on the 3rd, Mr. Walsh texted one of Anna's friends in Washington, D.C., and asked if she had seen Anna. On the 3rd, Mr. Walsh had made no attempts to contact the police, hospital, airlines, taxi, her work to locate Ms. Walsh. On the afternoon of the 3rd, Mr. Walsh visited 3 different apartment complexes in Abington and 1 in Brockton. Video from these complexes captured Mr. Walsh in the area of the dumpsters for 3 of these complexes. One video showed him looking into a dumpster and not putting anything into it. A second captures him taking items from his SUV by the area of the dumpster. And then the third depicts Mr. Walsh supposing a bag that appears to be heavy into the dumpster. On January 4th at 10:04 a.m., the person that Mr. Walsh had texted the day before responds to him and asks if he has heard from Anna. 10 minutes later, Mr. Walsh then calls the building that Anna Walsh worked at in D.C. and reports her missing. 5 minutes after that, he texts back to the friend and says, work is looking for her.
You know, keep in mind, a lot of these people that ramp up like this, they're abusers. They're physical abusers. You might look into his past that he started abusing animals first, and then they move to people, and then they become killers. That's essentially how Jeffrey Dahmer ascended to what he became. He abused animals first and did dissections of animals, and then moved to humans, and ended up being a stone cold killer. And you can probably see that pattern with this guy. I mean, what happened, a couple months prior to this? She got whacked and posted, or social media, the black eye, and made excuses about it. And that's, sadly what these women do is they cover everything up. I can't make it look like something happened, but people are smart. They figure it out. And then, it builds up and up and up.
At 10:30 is when work
Abuses
calls
in
Mr.
stages.
Walsh and
They-
begins the process of trying to find.
They test it and see, what can I get away with? What can I get away with? What can I get away with? And it just builds. So, the first might be something like animal abuse or a small slap or hit. And then the rage gets deeper and it builds. Then the abuse is punches and kicks and more bruising. It could start out verbal and it works its way up. And then it gets to a point where they see red and it's murder. It's crazy. These people are nuts.
Ms.
This guy's
Anna
crazy.
Walsh.
Crazy
After
as hell.
talking with Mr. Brian Walsh, Tishman Speyer employees contact their local and national offices. They send out emails. They even go to her home to try and find Miss Walsh. They contacted local hospitals. During their calls, they encouraged Mr. Walsh to report her missing to the Cohasset police.
Oh my God.
At approximately 11:40 a.m. on January 4th, Tishman Speyer Security
They think that she was
notifies
incinerated.
Cohasset police. This is the first time law enforcement is notified that Anna Walsh is missing. Cohasset police would travel to Mr. Walsh's home at approximately noon that day, and he would tell them about how a dinner guest had left on January 1st and informed them, and then told Cohasset police how Anna Walsh had then informed him that she needed to go back to DC for a work emergency, that she left between 6 a.m. and he would tell police that day when she left, she was wearing a short black coat, blue-gray hunter boots, and also had a black Prada purse. He told the local police that his oldest child had seen his wife take a taxi that morning. Cohasset police from there on would attempt to try and locate Anna Walsh by contacting airlines, taxis, Uber, Lyft, and also attempting to get cell phone records. By January 5th, Cohasset police had established that Anna Walsh had not flown to Washington, D.C. on JetBlue, the normal airline she takes, and that she had a return flight for January 3rd. They also learned that she had not left the country flying out of Logan Airport. They had learned that she had not used Uber, Lyft, and they had contacted local taxi companies, and none had gone to that residence. Cell phone records reveal that the last connection her phone signaled off of a tower was sometime between 3 and 4 a.m. on January 2nd, and that tower provided coverage for the Walsh home in Cohasset. On the 5th, Cohasset also notified state police to aid them in their investigation. The Massachusetts State Police notified and collected dozens of officers to come and help search the area, which included doing canvases of the area, searching the woods of the area, utilizing a dive team to search the backyard pool and the airway. Both Cohasset and state police also sent detectives to Washington, D.C. in an effort to locate Anna Walsh. At approximately 9:30 a.m. on January 5th, while law enforcement is undergoing all this searching, the defendant travels to his mother's apartment building in Swampscott, and his phone shows through native location data that it is in the area of the dumpster. He would then speak to detectives later on that evening, and he would again tell them that Anna Walsh had left for a work emergency between 6 and 7 a.m. on the 1st with a black Prada bag, a short black coat, a Louis Vuitton overnight bag, hunter boots, and potentially an Hermes watch. On the 6th, detectives spoke with Mr. Walsh again, and he agreed to turn over the digital devices from his home, which included the son's iPad, the child's iPad, and his cell phone and the child's cell phone.
It was.
From the 6th into the 7th, investigators would download and search these devices And in doing so, they would see the internet history of the iPad. They would see the noted location data from the two phones. It had become clear at this point into the 7th that the defendant had not told the truth about the whereabouts of Miss Walsh and his whereabouts as well. For on the 6th, Your Honor, he had told investigators that he had gone to CVS and Whole Foods in the Swampscott area. Police officers went to both of those locations and could not find surveillance video of him in those two stores. On the 8th, officers obtained search warrants for Mr. Walsh's home and vehicle and began the processes of searching those items over the next 2 days.
Gee, that's some of the police activity we just saw at 34 Fairview, right? Did you see that? Investigator getting out with booties on. There was police tape there. There was crime tape. Let's go back and look at that. Look at this. We got an investigator putting booties on.
And
right?
began the processes of
Look at
searching.
this police tape. We got people outside taking photographs of the said area. We didn't see any of that at 34 Fairview.
Those items over the next 2 days.
Yeah, they get state police out there blocking everything off.
In the basement, Your Honor, they were found
Look at
8
investigators.
red-brown
Look.
stains that initially tested positive
Look at
for
this.
the presence of blood.
There's an investigation
One of
going
those
on.
stains has subsequently gone to the lab and did not pass confirmatory testing.
Unreal.
Mr. Walsh's Volvo SUV also
I'm going to probably guess they went around and knocked on everybody's door in that neighborhood. Hey, did you hear anything? Did you see anything?
tested positive for the presumptive presence of blood in the driver's side seat control areas, the passenger floor mats, in the rear trunk area.
Yeah.
On the
Look at that.
8th,
They got shovels and everything.
by January 8th, Your Honor, all of the dumpsters that police could identify that Mr. Walsh had gone to, with the exception of going to the Swampscott dumpster on the 5th, had been emptied and taken to CMAS. CMAS is a large-scale waste-to-energy recycling facility where the contents of the dumpsters are shredded and incinerated. This process goes on 24 hours a day, and by that time, by the 8th, all of those contents had been incinerated, leaving behind only a fine ash. However, law enforcement was able to go to the Swampscott dumpster. In the Swampscott dumpster, they found items including a set of Volkswagen keys, Anna Walsh's COVID vaccination card, an Hermes watch identical to what Anna Walsh was known to wear,
Oh, yeah, the
gray
leaf
hunter
blower,
boots, a black Prada purse, and a short black coat. Also located in the dumpster, Your Honor, were rugs consistent with those that had been found that were in the living room and the kitchen of the Cohasset home. These rugs contain red-brown staining as well, and a piece of a Gucci necklace consistent with one that Anna Walsh wore was found within one of the two
Poor
rugs.
woman, she suffered.
The dumpster contained numerous items identical to those that Mr. Walsh had purchased at Lowe's, which included a Tyvek suit, a Lennox high-tension hacksaw, hammer, hatchet, and snips. The hatchet was purchased at Home Depot. The Tyvek suit had a red-brown stain on the exterior. The stain was tested, and Anna Walsh's DNA was determined to be a contributor. The hacksaw had red-brown staining in several areas. When it was disassembled, a small fragment.
Pull this up. Olivia, nice to see you here. Olivia says 17-day and complex mixed DNA lab testing and results back. Meanwhile, they hadn't even begun testing on physical evidence in Karen Reed's in April of 2023, 15 months after arresting Karen Reed. Jesus Christ.
Fragment of bone was recovered. These items have been are being processed for DNA. Also in the investigation, it was determined that in 2001, Anna Walsh had taken out approximately $2.2 million in life insurance on herself, where Brian Walsh is the sole beneficiary. And as a result of working at Tishman Speyer, she has an additional more than $400,000 life insurance policy where he was the sole beneficiary.
Oh, there you go.
In total, her life insurance is over $2.7 million where the defendant was the sole beneficiary. Your Honor, as a result of the extensive investigation that was done into this case, the defendant's grave incentive to flee of being charged with murder, and that he has one open matter, I would ask that the defendant be held without bail.
Yeah, I'd say. Oh, look at that. Goes right into Karen Reed.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Attorney David Yannetti and Attorney Ian Henchy from the Yannetti Law Firm.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Alan Jackson from Worksman Jackson and Quinn, along with Elizabeth Little from Worksman Jackson and Quinn on behalf of Karen Reed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jackson. Good afternoon, Ms. Little. Good afternoon, Ms. Reed. Okay, so we're here for the Rule 17 motions. Who's going to argue those?
So, Your Honor, there are two motions before the court that we'd like to be heard on. One is the motion to renew our motions to compel, which we'd like to.
I could sit and watch this forever. Okay. Wow, that was crazy ironic that it went right into a Karen Reed video. Can you fucking believe that? I couldn't even have planned that better myself. It's amazing what that algorithm spits up. But my friends, I want to draw some attention to something tomorrow that's very important that you all attend. Tomorrow on the Resistance to Silence YouTube page, there's going to be an anniversary vigil for Officer John O'Keefe. I'm going to drop the link here, and I really would appreciate everybody going over and watching that. In silence, I will not be streaming tomorrow at all. In silence for John O'Keefe, I will not be streaming tomorrow. I want Resilient to Silence to try to get as many people as we can over there. Subscribe to them. You know, they got 754 subscribers. Let's try to get them to the 1,000. Get that channel monetized over there after they get their watch hours in. And you know, they're doing really great work over there, and you know, just very informative content. I also want to make this statement, and I realize, a lot of y'all come here for Karen Reed content, and I really appreciate, like tonight, to come in and do a different case and have, like 350 of you all here consistently. It speaks volumes, because I know a lot of times when you go back to some certain cases and it's not the main interest on the channel, people won't watch. But I appreciate you all coming here and doing these streams with me. These are important cases that are in and around Massachusetts. And like I said, I have a plan in February and March to bring these cases back up, because there's going to be some movement in them, and we need to continue to talk about them. So let's do this. Let's bring some views over to that live tomorrow. I'm probably not going to be able to catch it live because I will be at work, but I will come back and watch it on replay. And if I can watch some of it when I get home, I most definitely do. But let's go over and support them. And I appreciate that. Again, on another note, if you're just coming in on this stream, I had a nurse reach out to me that is an expert in wounds, and they want to come on the show. So I'm going to reach back out to them and have a conversation. They're a certified expert on, I guess, a wound expert on the human body. And they have some case footage and files that they could bring forward and compare them to John O'Keefe. And I would really be interested in seeing that, because they clearly don't think that those injuries were caused by Karen's SUV. And clearly we don't believe that as well. They're dog bites, and Melanie Little's guest confirmed that. So I'm going to work on getting that guest here. They're local here, I believe, to Massachusetts, and they're a consultant. So I would love to see what they have to bring to this and hear about their expertise, and maybe they can line up some of the things here and kind of confirm that they're dog bites. Again, they're saying they're not an animal expert or any type of expert like that, but they can contest to wounds. They've I think Tom said it, like a trauma wound expert. So I'll reach out to them. I'll vet them, and we'll line that up hopefully this week. Tommy's in the room. I want to do normally we do the Sunday night. I decided to do this. I really just wanted to pull away from Karen Reed tonight, give it a little bit of a rest, and start picking it back up this week. And among, I said I'm going to start filtering other cases. I know Sandra Birchmore, I'm going to start looking into that. I've had some fantastic people reach out to me about her case. Unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be much we can do, but I can look into it and give you my interpretation of what I see. I've watched the video already several times over of the elevator incident, and I see a lot of things in there that I could point out and maybe spark some new ideas to people, that things that you might have not seen in that video. So I definitely want to go over that. I started looking at and reading about the case. It's an extremely disgusting, sad case, what happened to that young girl. And, from what I see so far, to me, it looks like foul play, but we'll take a look deeper into it. Again, I have to kind of absorb that a little bit more, and we'll continue here with Brian Walshe through the month of February and March, because he will have a court date coming up in the first week of March, and I will be there for it to document it. So I think that's it. That's going to end tonight's live. Let's say a prayer tonight and tomorrow for John. And I hope that you can all go over to the Resistant to Silence YouTube page and follow along in that candlelight vigil. I'll be honest, and I just want to make sure, because if anybody from that channel is watching tonight, I was approached to do something, to say something. It was tough for me to make a video and give it. I honestly just didn't know what to say. I'm kind of at a loss for words, but if this speaks any volumes, I just really need to be in silence for that night. It just doesn't feel right to me to have any social media activity. And I don't know, I couldn't find the words to put something together. So I apologize. It wasn't like I didn't want to do it. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to say. And if I can say anything, please just say a prayer. Hopefully all this whole nightmare will end soon for Karen, where she can move on with her life and grieve and finally put all this behind us. And then we start with the real people that need to be in Karen's seat. And we know who those people are, and go through that process. So, Tommy, I'll reach out to you. We'll do something this week, I promise. And we'll go back to our regular Karen Reed night. And again, I appreciate everybody being here late on this Sunday night. Get some rest. I am exhausted. I've been up super late the last 2 nights. I definitely need some rest. And tomorrow night, I am not going to stream in solidarity with for John. So please visit Resistant to Silence YouTube page. Show them some respect. And please, if you can hang out for that vigil, it would be really good. So let's see some hearts in the chat. Blue hearts for John, red hearts for Karen, turtles for Turtle Boy. And we're going to head out here and hit the outro. I appreciate everybody tonight. Thank you all for being here, and continue to support the channel. We'll keep going. All right, everybody, have an amazing night. I'm so tired. I'm going to crawl into bed, and I love all of you. Thank you. Thanks for supporting the channel. Have a great night. Bye.
Crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden in mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie. Getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. Essential crime, unraveling the web of evil. No stone left unturned. We dive into the crime. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL true crime, unveiling dark realities of the crime. Unraveling the web of evil. No stone left unturned. We dive into the crime.